So to kick things off, Salesforce is a publicly traded company, and customers should be making buying decisions only on the products that are commercially available today. I won't be sharing anything that is not available in general release, but just in case, they always want to have a forward-looking statement. And before I kick things off, a great place to start is really to thank you. We really understand that many businesses have been going through some challenging times, and we really want to thank you for joining me today. Obviously, in 2020, we were faced with, more than we ever could have imagined, a global pandemic, an economic crisis, and systemic racism, and obviously the ongoing climate changes around the world. And you've shown us what resilience, inspiration, and innovation really looks like. And we really want to thank all our heroes, those frontline workers that across the globe helped us out during this pandemic. And obviously we want to thank you, our trailblazers. Your resilience over the last year has really been inspirational. We hope to make today a really valuable use of your time, and your success is a priority to us. And we're committed to being your partner and persevering together in the days and years ahead. And you've always trusted Salesforce to lead you through change, and with that change couldn't be more dramatic than what we've experienced over the past year. And in this changing world, we found new ways of connecting digitally. We connect work through video chat like we are today, instead of a face-to-face user group. We order groceries online sometimes, and some of us are even lucky enough to have connected exercise equipment that are all online as well. 2020 accelerated everything, making it clear that offering these types of experiences are no longer a nice to have. It's an imperative for every business. Every business, whether it's B2B or B2C, across every industry, needs to be able to deliver seamless, connected digital experiences that obviously we call the digital imperative. And for many companies, it was really a matter of survival. When Biddy and Bo's, North Carolina-based coffee shop, was forced to close its stores due to the pandemic in early 2020, they had to rapidly respond to the situation, and they were able to quickly shift to online merchandise sales to maintain its connection with the community and deliver its coffee subscription to people's homes. And all thanks to the streamlined website and incoming communications they already had in place. Now, we won't go back to the way things were. Yes, offices will start to reopen and local businesses will get busy again, but these new expectations will remain. Now, delivering digital experience is a must-have for B2B and B2C alike, but we understand that's hard to do. And because of this digital imperative, learner expectations have completely changed, and businesses are looking to digitize this experience for their employees. And according to eLearning magazine, in this year, over 70% of all training had to turn virtual. So we've outlined what businesses want to be able to provide to their learners. They're looking to connect all their systems, provide a single place to go for their training and enablement content, so it's available in the right time when they need to complete a task or project just in time, essentially just in time learning. They're looking to keep teams motivated and engaged by providing gamification and badging, as we all know, and personalization through custom journeys and certifications with the right tailored content for every line of the business to help individuals get the jobs done. So with chat and online communities, they can have peer-to-peer interactions. All this can be done through CRM. However, there are a lot of changes and challenges when it comes to adopting this. There's a big disconnect shifting to all digital. It's really raising a lot of challenges. Most learning and training content is disconnected from day-to-day workflows like inside CRM. And many businesses are still working through implementing processes outside of an in-person training. And lastly, most businesses still have a COE, a Center of Excellence org, that are responsible for creating content for the entire organization and every line of business, which makes it really difficult to tailor or provide specific content to a team. So for example, helpful enablement content for service CSRs to enable them to close cases faster, or for a sales rep to prospect and close deals faster, and answer questions to customers. So that's why we really we went to market with My Trailhead. And we're really excited about My Trailhead as a digital skilling platform that helps surface the right content at the right time, directly right inside where your teams work, which is Salesforce. My Trailhead delivers learning content in the flow of work and ensures content that's always contextually relevant. My Trailhead also provides out-of-the-box content kits with specific line of business for soft skills training, which is a really quick way to publish the content and get ramped up on My Trailhead. We also want to make sure teams are staying motivated and engaged through their learning journeys. So My Trailhead provides gamification through our favorite points and earning the confetti and the badges that show up on your Salesforce profile to share with the rest of your organization. This is a great way for management to also view the various skills that their teams are ramping on. And lastly, My Trailhead provides insights so leaders or managers can easily measure team performance and the actual impact of enablement. So you might have seen in the press over the last couple months, we went GA with Salesforce Learning Paths, which really are enabling change management and a hyper adoption perspective of the CRM platform by not only enabling users to skill up from a scaled learning and onboarding perspective, from enabling admins or managers to curate customized content by pushing out specific in-app guidance walkthroughs to train new users how to go through specific flows. We've also developed the tracking behind it to ensure that if you are putting out an in-app guidance walkthrough, you can easily measure the success of the walkthrough and ensure that people are actually going through the flows in the flow of work that you're expecting them to go through. When it comes to change management for Salesforce, there's really a three-phase approach. Of course, the first phase is adopting the platform, so learning Salesforce. So I want to learn new features and processes, but I might be too busy for in-class trainings. And so I'm going to show you today a little bit about what in-app walkthroughs can do for your business in an actual demo environment. The second phase is using Salesforce. So we all know what it's like that we've adopted a new process, but we might not recollect where to go to do this specific action in Salesforce. So we've launched in-app learning. So with one-click approach to really honing in on what it is that you need to recall from a retention perspective. And of course, the third phase of change management is leveraging Salesforce. And so for new users, what resource do we have to help progress deals in the flow of work if I'm a sales user in an opportunity page layout, for example? So using in-app learning can prescribe that recommended curriculum or guide to help that sales user help solve their query. So today in the demonstration that I'm going to share after this slide, I'm really going to hone in on the in-app guidance walkthroughs piece. And in-app guidance is all about accelerating end user productivity by providing the learning in the app where it's most impactful. And we do this with single or multi-step prompts, or what we call walkthroughs. This is all built into the platform, and it's all done with clicks. This means you don't have to worry about a browser plugin, security issues, or performance impacts. In fact, the admin can give permission to another user to author guidance if they even would like to share the responsibility. All of the guidance is fully reportable. You can create reports down to the user level and guidance level to understand who saw what step and when, and did they take the action. And most importantly, we also support packaging and translations. So this means that you as an admin can download a custom app from the App Exchange that includes prompts or walkthroughs, and the guidance is all baked in, so you're ready to go. So with that, let me give you guys a quick demo of Salesforce Learning Paths. So let's say you were a service CSR in your first day on the job. You might have a prescribed trail mix assigned to you in My Trailhead right in your homepage. But if I'm not trying to start a trail mix onboarding curriculum on my first day, I might want to access the in-app learning. And you might see the in-app learning icon at the top right of your homepage. And first, it's important to note that learning paths are actually not at a cost at this point. You can implement learning paths right now, and you can actually push out public-facing Trailhead courses to your team, and they can consume the trainings that you prescribe to them in the flow of work. So let's say we had a combination of public-facing Trailhead courses and maybe something specific to your business. And that business might have been a My Trailhead course on Salesforce culture and values. One thing that's important to note about My Trailhead is that all of the badges are customizable, as are the leaderboards, and obviously how you want to convert the points in the scenarios that you want to push out to your users. So let's go into the flow of work, and I'll show you what I mean. Let's go into our way to serve the customer. So we would be taking our badge and serving the customer. You would see the units within the module that you might want your team to take. And let's say we wanted to do the unit on automated case management. And I might be a new service user, a new CSR. You would use Trailmaker to bring in the content that you want to push out to the new CSR. So you'd see your learning objectives, and then you'd see the content. In My Trailhead, you can always embed a video, like a YouTube video or a Vimeo or some sort of training video that you want the user to consume. We'd go through the sequence of the content. And of course, you'd want to go through and take your quiz. But here's a really great way that we can enable our new users with in-app guidance walkthroughs. Before a person would take a quiz, we could actually simulate the walkthrough and ensure that the new hire understands the flow of work. And so when we open up, put it all into practice, you'll see that we have our first in-app guidance walkthrough. And that first step is going to be a video on Service Cloud.
With Salesforce Service Cloud, you can deliver a complete view of the customer and save your employees time with intelligent productivity tools. Since it's built on the Salesforce platform, you can bring in all your customer data from any department.
So as a new user, I would consume this video from my training leader or an admin, for example, and now I understand what I'm going to be doing when I log into Service Cloud. And so then I would hit next, and through the flow of work, it would take me right to my case page. And that's where the user can create their own content. And it says, let's check out the case view. This is where you're going to categorize your cases, interact with customers, and log any of those interactions to keep track of everything that has happened. And you can see that this is step 2 of a 4-step walkthrough. If I wanted to snooze this for 20 minutes, I could do so because I was busy talking to my manager. You could also dismiss it as well. But this is really where we want to train users in the flow of work how to do their job. So we could go next and we'll learn that this is where they're going to, in entitlement information, this is where you're going to fill in the details of your case. So this will help you to track the customer complaints, the challenges, and the information leading to the case for better reporting in future training. So before I go any further, I think it's really exciting to share that in the summer release, the customers, you guys have 3 complimentary in-app guidance walkthroughs that you can access right now in your setup page. And you can actually push them out to your audiences at no cost and without implementing my trailhead. You can find that by going to setup and searching in-app guidance or in-app walkthroughs, and that should show you how to get started with in-app guidance. But as we finish off the walkthrough here, we would hit next, and that would end the steps that the new hire would be going and surge in terms of training as a new CSR. But if you wanted to also incorporate this, and I'm trying to move the Zoom bar at the bottom here. Let's say you wanted to prescribe some public-facing trailhead courses to your users. That's very easy to do in the Learning Home. You can go right into Manage Learning Assignments, and we could hit New, and then we can search the catalog. And maybe it was data. You wanted to prescribe a data specific course to a new hire. They don't have to be a service or sales user. This is just public facing trailhead stuff. So maybe it was a course on AWS databases that you wanted to assign to a new hire to consume. You could assign it to all users or to a specific group of users or a particular individual with a permission set at that matter. And then you could assign a due date on that course as well. So I'm sure you're asking, well, what does the reporting look like for in-app guidance walkthroughs? So there's actually a managed package that you can download right in the App Exchange for walkthrough engagement. And you'd be able to hone in and actually analyze, how is that walkthrough I set up actually resonating with my team? Are people actually going through all the steps that I've assigned to them? And so, by clicking next, you can actually see, like, did everybody go through 100% of the steps that I assigned? And if they aren't going through 100% of the steps, and you're finding some bottom feeders or low-hanging people at the bottom of the list that you need them to complete the walkthrough, you could have a friendly Slack message to them to consume the training, for example. So with that, that is a little bit about in-app guidance walkthroughs in Salesforce Learning Paths. Now, as I go back into my deck, I'll finish off my presentation, and I'm going to ask the audience a question. And the quiz question for today that we'd like you to answer in the chat, the first person that can answer, what is my trailhead using as an enablement tool for new users to adopt learning in the flow of work will earn a prize. So what is my trailhead using as an enablement tool for new users to adopt learning in the flow of work? Let's see. We have learning paths, and we have Nash. Nash hit it. He hit the answer correct. It is in-app guidance walkthroughs. Congratulations, Nash. You've earned a gift card to the Salesforce store. Woohoo! So
thank you, Jeff.
That is my presentation for today. Would we like to open it up for questions or wait to the end to bring that Q&A to the forefront?
I have a question for you, Jeff. It's always interesting for audience to know how much is additional cost to use in-app guidance, what we get for free, where is limitation. Do we need to buy all for all users or just for some users or things like that? What's your selling model?
Sure. So my Trailhead, obviously, as the digital skilling platform, one of the components that make up the platform are the in-app guidance walkthroughs. So that if you were to implement the digital skilling platform, that's part of the package. For complimentary usage in the summer release, the customers are entitled to 3 in-app guidance walkthroughs that you can go and implement right now at your leisure. And I should also reference that there are what's called the prompts. The prompts are completely complimentary, but they're not interactive. So you can actually create up to 500 different flows, but only 3 would be active at one time. If you wanted to really get creative with it, get scrappy with it, if you didn't want to pay for in-app guidance walkthroughs. So if you want to implement, the full boat of in-app guidance walkthroughs without any limitations, that would require a My Trailhead license.
And what is official price on it per user? Do we need to, is this like knowledge editors users? We need to have just few users with full license and then everybody is read only, or everybody needs to have license?
So everybody that are employees that you want to consume specific training, let's say it was your CSR team and you just onboarded 100 new CSRs, they would purchase My Trailhead for $25 per user per month. And then you would create your own badges and content using Trailmaker, and that would be deployed to your audience. Beyond the employee-specific use case for My Trailhead, we also have My Trailhead for the Experience Cloud, so employee experience touching partners and customers, and those have their own price points as well. So there's for partners that might be logging into Employee Experience Cloud, I believe it's $5 per user per month. And then we also have the login-based methodology where you might have some customers that need to do biannual training. And in that case, we charge $2 per user per month.
But if it's biannual training and it is twice per year, not 12 times per year, why you don't charge me just 2 times per year? I'm joking, but question for you, Jeff. How much is training for editor of My Trailhead? Intensive, how intuitive it is? How much time you need to train your Trailhead editor to be able to put in place content that somebody will consume?
So our Trailmaker, which is our text-based editor to create your own badges and your content, is not a complex kind of experience like using a learning content management system. It's actually very plug and play. It's very user-friendly. So the benefit to using the Trailmaker is that it requires very little lift in terms of creating your own badge, your own module. A lot of the customers, to get started, they might have onboarding curriculum on a spreadsheet, or they might have a lot of PowerPoints or PDFs where the content might be located. A lot of ways that they can get started is to bring over some of that content that's existing, that's scattered around or in a Salesforce library, and use some of that to get started.
Then, in other words, it's kind of intuitive. It's not, 7 days training offshore or something like that.
No, absolutely not. In fact, as a new hire, when I was onboarding, learning My Trailhead, I was able to create my own module in a very short period of time, in a couple hours. it really just depends on how granular you want to get with the messaging and the content that you want to share with your audience. Content sometimes can take a long time to create. And some customers have, content creators, instructional designers, admins might already have some of the content already created in some form laying around and maybe it's in a SharePoint site or like I said, in a Salesforce library, so they can get to proactive measures very quickly.
Thank you.
So if there's not any questions, then I'll pass it over to Peter.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jeff. Great presentation. Thank you so much.
It was excellent.
Thanks, Jeff. That was awesome. And by the way, if only you got to have one of these. Oh, geez, you can't see it. You saw this before when we met, right? My Trailhead battery pack wireless charger. But yeah, got that.
I don't even have one of those.
Okay, group, let me share my screen here, and we're going to go through a quick presentation. Just let me know if this is working.
Yep, looks good.
Yep.
So I'm going to take about 15 minutes. I'm not a death by PowerPoint type of person by any means, so please feel free to interrupt me at any time. Kevin, keep me on time. I'm making a bold statement here, and I'm going to paint a little bit of a narrative, but one of the things is, how solving search will make you a hero admin. And let me kind of get to the crux of that, because a little bit on me. I am a Salesforce alumni, not that you can tell. Me and Astro here in my Mississauga basement office, but I worked at Salesforce, interestingly enough, in Canada. I started product marketing for Salesforce Canada a few years ago. And I think this is my 17th user group presentation. The first time I'm actually doing something in Canada. So congratulations, I guess. I'm at my third ISV. So one of the things I did for Salesforce in a product marketing capacity was obviously work with the ecosystem, partner enablement. And, it was really interesting to see how challenged partners are in selling into the ecosystem. And I know this is no surprise to any user group or any admin or developer or architect, but the best way to sell into the community is not to sell. And I know that's counterintuitive, and some sales guys will probably scream at me, but the best way to sell is to educate. And what the narrative I've been taking at all my ISVs is just that, right? If we're doing privacy, we talk about best practices in privacy. If we're doing portals, we talk about those. Now I'm at a search vendor, Kona Search. I'm not talking about the product. There's literally one screenshot in, in this presentation that actually shows the product. I'm going to talk to you about search, the fundamentals, the evolution, and then of course at the end there'll be an opportunity to sprinkle in our narrative with one screenshot. But a lot of user groups appreciate that approach, because I'm not doing a demo. Jeff aside, that's Salesforce. We always love to see Salesforce stuff. So obviously I love the ecosystem, and one of the things I'm going to do quickly here, hang on, if I can just bring up the chat, where is it? I just wanted to share a link. Oh man, where is it? This is what actually got me my last few positions, this one included. So when you guys get a chance, go ahead and give that a read. So anyway, the first thing I like to do is give away something personal. And, we often talk about proudest achievements, what we're proud of. I want someone to chime in and tell me what's wrong with this picture. What shouldn't be in this picture?
You are missing bacon and onion.
No, but close. So this big blob right in the middle here that looks like a third of my brain, oddly enough, it almost looks like the Salesforce logo. I'm going to talk to my legal representative about that. But anyway, since I predate Salesforce, this was an orange-sized brain tumor. It was discovered in 2012, and 12-hour operation, 37 staples. Anyway, long story short, nothing else in life matters, if you're not healthy. if you're not above ground, if you're not able to help your family and help your friends, and frankly, to help the company that you're working for, health by far is the number one thing. So if anything I can talk about that I'm proudest of, forget about work and white papers and leads and all that kind of good stuff. Just surviving and being able to present to you here today is what I'm thankful for. And I wanted to thank everybody, because everything that you do, the products you buy, the work that you do, every click, every penny that you spend, all fed into, and in this case, this wonderful Canadian healthcare system. I wasn't working, and they rushed me through this and saved my life. So everybody on the call that's from Canada, Jeff, as a side note, thank you for saving my life. Okay, so now we got the personal stuff out of the way. I'm not going to talk too much about Kona Search, but obviously I need to put the pitch in to begin with. We're basically global search on steroids, in a sense, right? And there's a lot more to it than that. I'm not going to talk too much about what we do, other than the fact that obviously, when I came in, we're a big part of the community. We joined the Pledge 1% team. We're obviously a Salesforce partner, and you can see sort of a list of our clients here. But really what I want to talk to you is about, I'm just going to skip over some of this stuff. What is search? So, this is a picture I found, I think, on NPR. If you think about it, everything we do pretty much every day is some type of search. I would argue that search is the most inclusive behavior we all share, regardless of all the categories, boxes, things that we've created to, segment populations of people in different ways. Outside of language, searching in different languages, right now we're all searching for something. I'm searching for the words to say in this presentation, right? And I'm sure you're searching to click on something. So everything we do day to day in the history of time has literally revolved around search. And that is by far and away, I believe, the most inclusive thing that we all share. So it's an interesting thing to think about, because there's passive searching and then there's kind of active searching, right? So passively, we just click around, right? We're looking at different places. That's a search. We're thinking about different things. And I don't want to get too much into the neuroscience, but there's lots of different ways that we can process things. For example, our general manager the other week was searching for strawberries. I asked him a question on Slack, and he sent me this picture and saying, "Sorry, I'm out looking for strawberries in New England right now." But anyway, perfect example. Kevin, what was the last thing that you searched for? Oh, it looks like you're searching for a phone number because you're calling somebody. So, but that's a great background to why search is so important. Now, when we talk about modern search, I'm probably dating myself here. Does anybody remember the first version, the beta of Google, circa 1998? I think I was just out of high school, but this is what it looked like originally. And it was pretty kind of basic to look at. When we talk about Salesforce, I'm going to stop here for a second and give everybody a chance to laugh. This was actually one of the first prototypes of Salesforce.com. I actually learned through my third presentation on this that Zig Ziglar was an artist, and that if you signed up for an account by June 30th, 1999, you got a free tape of Zig Ziglar. But this was literally one of the first prototypes of Salesforce.com. So it's come a long ways, I would say, from where it was. I know we can talk about Classic and Lightning and all that kind of good jazz, but wow. Coming from this to where we are now, definitely an improvement. Now, I want to talk about Salesforce Search. So this is one of the first, versions of basically global search, and most of the narrative here is going to be around, global search and some of the different ways that we've seen being able to use that. Obviously, the UI has a little bit lacking, and this is obviously very old. But this is literally one of the first places it started. And I'm sure most of you remember it was a pop-up window, right? Pop-ups now are just, kind of, oh my gosh, you're actually doing a pop-up. But anyway, that's how it sort of started. Now, depending how you slice and dice it, there are 4, 5, 6 different ways. I'm not going to go through all of these because you're all admins and you probably know a lot more about these than I do. But the standard, basically out of the box options would be, your sidebar search, advanced. You've got lookups, right? Standard and enhanced. Global, which is really the auspice of the presentation here. And then I'm sure everyone's done some custom stuff, right? Apex, Sosol, Sokol, you name it, right? The key to this narrative and how to make you a hero admin is around global search. Now, there's a few things that I love to call out. This is actually the #1 most used feature in Salesforce by far. And I'm sure you don't realize it, because what do you do every day? What do your salespeople do? Your support people do? They need to find something. They go up in the top bar and they look for it, right? They don't realize that's called global search. Obviously we do, but it is by far and away the most used feature in Salesforce. So that's just an interesting sort of tidbit there. It's actually a search engine. So believe it or not, global search is an index outside of the platform. And it functions a lot like Google. Every time you create a record, it's added to that index. Every time you update a record, it's added to that index. So believe it or not, global search is actually, in a way, its own product. It's not monetized, thankfully, yet, but even though it's integrated into the UI, when you search in that bar, it's literally calling out to a separate product. It's all built on the platform. Obviously, it's all tied together, but it is actually its own index.
Okay, Peter, just if I can jump this, is this reason why it's up to 15 minutes delay before you can find new record in search?
Yes, that would be, so you're right on the money, Nash. It has its limitations. And that's obviously one of them. It can't do multi-org search. There's always the challenge with, oh crap, someone made a multi-select pick list. Sorry, can't search through those. There's a bunch of limitations. There's performance limitations as well. Just like with anything else in Salesforce, I really like to paint the narrative that there's really 3 ways to do things. Basic, like out of the box, in this case, global search. You've got kind of normal, where, you can get in there and customize some things and maybe build on top of the platform. And then, the advanced, the forward-looking, the, transformational thing, which usually requires a plugin or, an ISV app. So global search is good for the basics, but if it doesn't meet your needs, and I'm going to paint a couple of use cases for you, yes, performance will be one of them. In really high-end environments, I think our largest customer is able to do what's called federated search, just like a global search, to do like 10 billion records in seconds or something like insane like that. It's just ridiculous. But yes, that is definitely one of the limitations, Nash. The best way to get to the narrative that I want to talk through is ask the most important question. I tell this to admins all the time. You'll sit there and someone will ask, a business leader will say, well, we need another drop down. We need another status field, right? And of course you'll just do it. But the more and more time goes on, especially with the pandemic now, you've got the opportunity, to step up and say why. What is the output that you're looking for? Maybe there's a better way to do this. Maybe I can combine it with something else. Maybe I can automate this whole thing so you don't have to do 17 clicks, right? So the biggest takeaway I want from this presentation is to go back and say, why? Why do you want that? Or understand the problem a little bit better. I'm a recovering product manager. I was a product manager at Symantec for many years. So, every time someone comes to me in a marketing capacity, sales, leadership, you name it, I always ask why. What's the destination you want to get to, right? And I would really encourage admins to do the same. Every search returns information, and the problem with searching in general is that it sees everything as a file, right? You've got a schema, you've got records, you've got all these different fields. Search doesn't delineate anything, especially global search. It just sees everything as a file. It's a database, it's got all these records. Sure, there's connections and junctions and all that kind of stuff, but it's, it doesn't understand the relationships. It doesn't understand the context, right? So what we want to get to, and I'm just going to paint this picture really quickly, we're trying to push that narrative forward that, of course, you can do multiple org search. That tends to have a lot of use cases, being able to access other databases, right? So with global search, there is a way to expand it to do a federated search, but it has limitations like, Nash, you had brought up, right? The other big thing that we're seeing, sort of as a trend is there's a lot of attachments. There's a ton of files out there, right? and there's no ability to search within those attachments, right? Global search, sure, it can find the attachments, it can see the names, and it can show you the sizes, but it can't search within those files. And there's vendors like us that actually can take that a step further. And I'm gonna paint you 3 quick use cases here. So this is a little bit of our narrative, but I think it's very relevant to to the admins on the call. One of the spaces we're seeing is talent matching, and this isn't just for recruiting and for talent matching, but for the folks that are in Ottawa, there, you might be dealing with some of these similar types of use cases, where there's an automation opportunity for searching for one object, let's say a contact, but restrict the results based on another that's connected to it, that has a relationship to it, including attachments, and then being able to filter and facet these. So this picture kind of paints an explanation of what that looks like, right? So we want to do a multi-object search, which you can't really do with global search, right? We can filter based on different criteria, different relationships in there. And the automation opportunity in there is the output, right? When we find all these things, you can click a button and bang, you can trigger that automation. That's something that a lot of our customers are seeing quite a bit of value in. The second one is very relevant, and I'm just going to paint this out, all the points, and I'm not sure what to call this, we haven't settled on a definition yet, but it's really around intellectual property. So, from a government perspective, think legal, contractual, right? You've got all these documents, contractual, legal, different regulatory governance documents in Salesforce. You're storing them all anyway, right? But what is the protection behind that, right? In a number of our cases, customers we can't talk about, they have these major intellectual property challenges, compliance, right? They're being audited by the big software vendors, not Salesforce, but some others in the space, right? Where, they're looking for license issues. They're looking for intellectual property leaving the organization via an email or something along those lines, right? And what we're able to do in Salesforce is build in that automation layer with a stoplight system. So real quickly, you've got thousands of zip files going out, being uploaded by consultants, contractors, whatnot, and they're sending these things out. We can actually automatically go through those and use a stoplight model. Green, it's good to go, send it. Yellow, okay, maybe we should hold on to some of the files. And then red, we'll just stop it completely. We even had customers go as far as, we'll have a zip file of 10,000 legal documents. We'll flag 3 of the attachments within the archive, pull those out, repackage the rest, and send the clean ones out, and send the 3, that are flagged to someone to go through and see if it's good or bad. This is super cool. And it's something that we're seeing a lot of interest in. The last one here is blows my mind. And they were talking about PowerPoints or SharePoint. I think Jeff, you mentioned earlier. Mayor Dunlap, one of our biggest clients, they had this really interesting use case. And when you first look at it, you think search can't solve that. Well, guess what? They make swag, right? Branded stuff like this. Okay. And they've got databases of slide decks, right? Of what your logo would look like on my hat, on my battery pack, you name it, right? Salesperson would get a request and say, oh, you know what? Jeff did that. I remember a year ago, right? For something. Anyway, they have tens of thousands of these slides stored in Salesforce, interestingly enough. And what we're able to do with our platform is actually, they can search for something, anything, right? A keyword. It's going to filter through, find that keyword within images, within individual slides, and we've actually set it up so that they can literally just hit this button and it will curate a presentation based off of all those old slides. That just blows my mind, right? And it's all around search. You wouldn't connect search with this type of a use case, but it all revolves around search. And I think the audience can understand, wow, I mean, there's some really cool ways to do this. It's not about us, it's about you can do this with the platform. Of course, it's easier. We've actually spent the time and built these things, but these are things you can do with the platform today, right?
Is it image recognition technology behind it or something?
Yep, image recognition. OCR is also one of the things that we're seeing. There's lots of different ways to be able to do that. But in Mayor Dunlap's case, they're all the PowerPoint decks are actually stored in Salesforce within opportunities. So we literally just go through the slide decks, whether they're in archives or just PowerPoint decks, and just look for that keyword in an image or in a slide deck title, in a slide title within a presentation, and then repackage those up and present them to the person.
Very cool.
And then the last thing, and like I said, this is the only product screenshot. It's actually fairly old, but it's just a good example of how you can take global search to where it really should be, right? You can see in this example, we can do multi-org, right? So if you have multiple orgs, we can present that to the user without them even knowing it, right? If you've got other systems, SAP, other SharePoint databases, you name it, other data stores, attachments, files, literally to the user, from the user's perspective, they're going to run a search and they're not going to care where these different documents are, right? But from the back-end administrator's perspective, you can really help automate these types of processes by yourself in the platform, or by looking at a vendor like us, to be able to enable doing that. Okay, so I know I covered a lot there in a short amount of time. I'm going to give a little bit of quick homework to all the admins, and then we're going to do a quick giveaway. So I think you know the homework right now. Ask why, right? Have that conversation. Understand the output. What do you actually want to get to? Doing what's requested of you is great, obviously, and we're doing an amazing job at that. But if you've got the opportunity, ask what the final result is. You may go down a rabbit hole, but it's a good rabbit hole. And that'll take you a step on the path to actually becoming more of a hero than you already are in your organizations. It's also not a bad idea to I know we're all busy, and with the challenges now being remote, it's probably a little bit harder, but you'd be surprised with 10 minutes a week sitting with a salesperson, service person, whoever, a user, just sit there and don't say anything and just watch what they do in Salesforce. You'll be, pulling your hair out, because you'd be like, expletive. You could be doing this in 2 clicks instead of 17, right? But they're not going to know what to tell you that, right? They're going to use the system the best way they know how, regardless of the training and all the different tools you can give them. If you can spend some time with users or spend some time with teams, you see a common trend, removing clicks. I'm all about removing barriers, and I think we are as well. And that's really, one of the things that could obviously help, and that will give you, the groundwork to look at, what, maybe I can actually automate this, and let's talk to the business unit leaders about potentially doing that. Okay, I'm going to skip this. We're going to get to the giveaway. So before that, actually, let's do the giveaway, and then we'll turn it over for some Q&A. So everybody ready on the chat? I'm going to ask 2 questions, and we're basically giving away gift cards to the Salesforce store. So the first person that answers correctly will obviously win. And what I would request is that you send me your information via email. It will only be used for the purposes of fulfillment of the gift card. You're not going to be a lead. We're not going to spam you. I'm in Canada, so Pipita all the way. Anyway, is everybody ready? So first question, and Jeff, you can't answer this, sorry. What is the most inclusive behavior we all share? And what is it? It is Kevin. Well, is a user group organizer available to win? I don't know, guys. What do you think?
Almost all of us are here, so.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. Okay, so Kevin, you are the winner for the first one.
No, that's actually you that did it.
Oh, is it? Well, you know what? Then I mean, we might have to.
There's unfortunately there's a little confusion because my name is on 2 slides.
You know what? I don't know, guys. What's the vote for? Is it you? Is it Kevin?
No, it's you, because I know I didn't answer your question. I had no clue what it was.
I will pass that because I'm the organizer for this meeting. Let's give to Sandy. Yeah.
Yes, so I'll say Sandy, you are the winner. Thank you very much. Technically, the answer was search, but we'll make the exception for the user group just because we're all competing here. So congratulations, Sandy.
Thank you, Peter.
Okay, next question. What was our GM searching for at the beginning of the presentation? And position, no. You know what, Nash, we'll give you that one. I know it was misspelled, but I'm not a stickler on spelling. It was strawberries. So Nash and Sandy, if you can, send an email to me. As I said, your information will only be used for the purposes of fulfillment of the gift cards. They're for the US store, unfortunately. So you can pick whatever you want. We were giving away hoodies originally, but with this, stuff that's going on, logistics was just a nightmare anyway. We just decided to go with gift cards. So Nash and Sandy, please send me an email with your name and just your name and email is all that's required. And I will send you out the codes for your gift cards. If anyone's interested in, a demonstration, we'd be happy to, get you with our GM, who I call the Oracle of Search. We're not going to try and sell you anything. We just want to get feedback and push the search narrative forward in general. You can do all of this in Salesforce. We just happen to be a partner that's taken the time, to build a solution on top of it. And, we want to share that knowledge. So with that, I want to thank the winners, thank the group, thank you, Jeff. And if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
I have a couple questions.
Shoot.
So if your Salesforce org doesn't have any integration with SAP or other systems, will the search still be able to, let's say the org does, I'm sorry, let's say the company does have SAP, but there has never been the Salesforce or administrators have not done any integration with SAP. Would you be able to configure the search to also look through SAP or other systems?
Great question. And it's one we field all the time. The answer is definitely yes. So we are an index outside of Salesforce, right? And whether you have the connection in Salesforce or not, we just have to configure that connection. So it doesn't matter. It's independent of whether or not it's connected to Salesforce. So let's say in that example, if you've got SAP, it's not currently in Salesforce, we can build a search page, literally one record view, where it actually pulls in SAP data. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you. The other question I had is on the attachments and let's say videos or so what exactly is involved? Does the end users have to, let's just talk about a video, for example. Let's say the video's on some topic area. Does the end user have to go into some file to identify all the keywords associated with that video so that it can be searched? Or is there other intelligent tools that are able to, I don't know, somehow figure out what this video is all about without the users going through it?
So another great question. And one we come across not as often as the first, but we definitely run across it. So, excuse me. When it comes to, specifically within archives, like let's say within a zip file, a RAR file, obviously they can have anything, right? A text file, another zip, a video file, MP3, MP4, you name it, right? Documents, all that kind of stuff. We can search on, obviously we can do on any tags or any, points of data, filter and facet. So you can sort of filter the views based on that. The underlying logic can go really deep. We don't have, we've done some video work, but it's easier to OCR, let's say, an image, right? And pull out the text from an image. A video, I don't have the complete answer for you, but I suspect we could obviously do the title and any metadata that's behind it. So in the video case, it would be an interesting conversation to have with the Oracle of Search. my boss, the GM here at Kona. I would love to understand a little bit more about that use case. But no, that's not the complete answer you're looking for, but it's definitely something I'd love to follow up with you on.
Well, I don't have any specific situation. I was just really
Just
curious.
curious, yeah.
Like I do the YouTube videos, and I sometimes wonder, you know,
Yeah.
when you do a YouTube video, you can put in some blurbage of text words that
Yep.
what the video is about, but you know, you're obviously you're going to miss things that you might not think is important, but somebody else might say, you know, well, you know, I would like to know whether you've talked about that. Anyways.
No, great question. Great question. And definitely, you know, that's the next frontier. I mean, and at the end of the day, any metadata in anything, right, is easily searchable. It's just that next layer, right? And video would be, you know, a little bit more complicated, but great questions, yeah.
Hey, Peter, Kevin, do you have more questions?
No, that's fine.
Hey, Peter, just to kind of summarize what you told us, you have platform that will connect with our Salesforce and other platforms and do search and return result in one consolidated way in the table like we show in the image.
Correct.
Is this
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
And my question is, do you have connector to Box? Can you search Box files and all those kind of things there?
Yes, we can. We've done Google Drive. We've done Box for a prototype. Any system, you know, any cloud-based system, obviously, if it's got a connector, we can connect to it.
Yeah, but in a Box, there is some folder securities and things like that that you need to respect. How you work around this? I don't want to leak data because I'm searching Box on keyword that belongs to different customer file or something like that.
Completely. That's one of the, you know, as the person telling the story from a marketing capacity here, security is always the biggest thing that comes up. So at the highest level, you know, we default to the security in whatever system, right? So from a Salesforce perspective, you know, it comes down to the record level. I mean, when I met you, you know, we had a good conversation about, you know, he just spent 2 days trying to figure out why one person in a team, you know, did a search and the next person did a search and they saw different things, right? And it all came down to, you know, field level security or some, you know, silly little thing, right? All of those things within Salesforce we respect. So, you know, that is the foundation, right? Whatever security roles, hierarchy you've set up within Salesforce, that's what our index is going to follow. The same would be true for SAP, for a Box, or for anything else. There are use cases within that where, because we don't really, frankly, we don't do the security. I mean, we'll help you understand the use cases, right? So in that example, we would do a proof of concept, right? And we would go through a use case and say, you know what? Okay, we need to set this up in Salesforce so that it recognizes Box, or we need to set up Box just so it does that. So does that answer the question? I don't want to say we're security independent, but we follow the guidelines of the tools that are out there. By far and away, the number one is Salesforce.
Yeah, I may have a weird use case in my head, but idea is that I have experience cloud platform
Yep.
built on Salesforce that's using Box as file storage to upload files and download, review, and things like that. It's all controlled by one integration user and Box folder ID that is attached to account of you logged user and things like that. What is kind of application layer security? It's not really platform security that you're talking about.
Right.
And it would be nice if we can give this customer search that will go and search in the Box at the same time when they search for keyword, not just in data that Salesforce is giving them access to. But I am seeing a challenge on the security, you know, that maybe because of this application layer built in that may not work as expected.
It's something I would definitely love to, you know, to set you up with Andrew about. We'd be happy to look into it. I'm sure there's a solution to it. Whether it's us or not, that's not the point. It's just you've got a challenge, and we'd love to help solve it for you.
Yeah, if ever comes up to the exploring, you know, we can. we can connect. But I found it as kind of interesting. And another question that I have is, I assume you're selling this by license or by org search. What's your selling model?
So we typically sell by a per Salesforce license, right? So we're an add-on fee to that. There's a bunch of different ways to slice and dice it, but typically you're going to be looking at about $25, maybe $30 per user in an advanced scenario. It can be a lot less depending on what you need. You know, if you need multi-org search, if you're connecting to different things, we're really, you know, we love helping customers. So, you know, one of the challenges, we can't just put a price on, you know, what we do, because there's so many different aspects to it, right? The pages, the search pages can be complicated. You know, is there different data points? Is there different data sets? Is there multiple systems? But that's kind of just a general number. In any case, we're on the App Exchange. Just look up Kona Search and you'll find us there. Or feel free to just shoot me an email. And like I said, we'd be happy to have that conversation with you. It's not about, you know, I always come back to, you know, it's not about selling. It's about educating, right? The more conversations we can have, the more feedback we can have. You can do all this in Salesforce yourself. It's just bloody hard, right? And you know, I just want the community to know you can solve these challenges. You can search multiple orgs. You know, you can build one record, one single view that has all this kind of stuff, and then, you know, automate all that kind of stuff. So frankly, I found that's the best way to sell. And I'm on my 17th, 18th user group presentation here, and no one's kicked me out yet. So, if there's no other questions, the other thing I wanted to follow up on is everyone's going to get the post user group meeting feedback link. Please take the time to fill that out, not just for me or for Jeff, but for the organizers. It's all anonymous, and you know, that's part of the whole process here. Is we want to make these better, and would really encourage everybody to fill out those surveys if you get a chance.
Peter, are you based in Toronto, or where are you based out of?
Oh, you can't tell? I'm in the Mississauga office here, yeah, with Astro.
And Kona, is that a Canadian company or a US?
So Kona Search is part of Basis Technologies, a US company. I am the only Canadian employee right now. So yes.
It's a great presentation, Peter. Learned so
thank
much. Yeah, it's also like interesting product as well. Before you go, I do have a question regarding it's just I'm thinking about you know, some use case, right? Like, because we have a lot of like cloud, like storage, like currently like on the market, like a Dropbox box and Google Doc.
Yep.
Would those be easy to integrate as well, or can those be included in the search result?
Yes, included.
Yeah.
It depends on the use case, right? I mean, Nash touched on, you know, some security issues, those types of things. If you're in a government environment, obviously there's going to be different regulations, right? It's never been easier in the history of time to build something in software, right? Which is great, but it's also challenging. It's great because it's never been easier, but it's bad because it's never been easier, right? So you can build anything, you can connect anything. But in those cases, yes, we can definitely do those. It all comes down to the use cases, and then, you know, the buy, build, partner, you know, type discussion. But yes, we've done those before, and you know, happy to talk to anybody about if we can potentially help you or not.
Cool. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks everybody, and check out my Tomato article, and definitely connect with me on LinkedIn.
Cool. I'm going to stop recording.